Well, hello, and welcome back to that thing we like to call Cureless Mania. We talk all things pop, rock, and prog. And man, I am thrilled to have the head of Sia Tranquility back on my channel, Mr. Pete Pardo. Pete, how are you today?
Doing good, Tom. Thanks for having me once again to talk about a topic that I love talking about.
Yes, yes. I mean, same here. So I mean, the homework for this assignment was like manna from heaven. I was like, I'm so psyched to be listening to these records again. I grew up with these albums. They're like in my DNA.
Yeah,
I would say that probably Genesis, when rubber hits the road, Genesis might be my favorite band. So it's up.
they're
You're up.
probably my favorite prog band of all time. Yeah, there's just something magical about them, and they're really the first prog band I ever got into. I
Yeah.
still remember that when I bought Supper's Ready, Seconds Out, all those years ago, containing Supper's Ready, and I had never even knew who they were. I just saw that album. I saw that cool live shot on the cover with all the dry ice and smoke and these double neck guitars. I'm like, this looks awesome. I'm going to buy this. I don't know who Genesis is, and I was like, oh, this is different. This doesn't sound like Kiss. This doesn't sound like Boston. I kind of like this. And here we are probably almost 50 years later, and I'm still listening to Genesis. So,
Yeah. I mean, Seconds Out is such a killer live record.
oh, it is. Yeah.
Genesis became, that's the thing, they became such a great live band. I mean, that was the thing. They just became a live monster after a while.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it was my first concert. I went to Madison Square Garden in '83 and saw the Mama tour. So that was my first big concert. And I was like, that was just phenomenal. So
I would
um,
have liked to have seen them way earlier than I did. I didn't get to see them. My first time was in 2007 when they did a
okay.
big reunion tour I saw them at Giant Stadium in New Jersey, and that was the only time I've seen them, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen them much earlier, and I had opportunities. I just never went.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Oh
you
well.
know, sometimes that happens,
It
and
does, it does. But I've
so,
seen lots of live footage, and I guess that'll do, right?
yeah.
Not quite the same, but it'll do.
It'll do for now. But that's what we're here to do tonight, everybody. We are here to do another incredible run. You guys are enjoying the incredible runs we're doing. So we did Jethro Tull, and then what was the last one we did? We did
Queen.
Queen. And now this is now we're doing Genesis. So we're doing Genesis 1970 to 1977. So that is in our view, that's an incredible run of records. The quality is very, very high. And so let's just jump into it. I mean, why not? Let's get going. They start of course we're skipping over Genesis to Revelation, which is the first, like sort of like school kids in a studio. I mean, they're very young. They're like literally in what we would call high school or maybe early college. I can't remember, but something like that. I mean, they're young.
Yeah, I think they were probably 17, 18, I think, or something like that, between 16 and 18. So whatever it's a little different over there, pre-college or whatever they
Yeah,
call it.
whatever they call it. Like I
Yeah.
can't remember. There's like sixth
There
form.
is there is a certain name for it. I'm drawing a blank on what it's called, but yeah.
Yeah. But they got into the studio, and it's actually there's some interesting things on here. When you listen to this, you go, "Oh, there's actually like little germs of things going on this," but it's not what they would become. Would you?
No, it's very different. It's kind of like it's a lot of 12 string guitars. It's pop, it's a little psychedelic. It's kind of like that early Bee Gees sound, some
Yeah.
Beatles things going on. There's lots of folk on it. It's okay. I rarely ever listen to it.
Yeah, yeah, it's very poppy. It's extremely
Yeah,
poppy.
yeah.
And they switch gears and they go on the road is what happens. They start playing live and they recruit I think their original drummer was John Silver. They recruit a guy for a new drummer named John Mayhew,
Yep.
and they go on the road with him and they start playing these songs live and writing and playing live at the same time. And they develop this more progressive style. In the meantime, they've heard King Crimson, Court of the Crimson King,
Well, there you go.
you
Yeah, yeah.
know, and Procol Harum and Family and
Moody
all-
Blues and all that
Moody
stuff.
Blues,
Yeah.
exactly. All these bands are like, oh, these bands are so cool, and we want in on that. I think that's what they were. Would you agree with that? They seemed very
I would
influential.
totally agree. I think, once Tony Banks decided, hey, let's bring some keyboards with us out on tour, all of a sudden things started to get a little bit more interesting. So all of a sudden now you're hearing like piano, instead of just piano, you're hearing electric piano, you're hearing Hammond organ, and eventually they get a Mellotron, and then it's like, forget it. And then the synthesizers start coming in. But I think, yeah, as they're getting ready to do Trespass, I think And again, it's I've read various things over the years, but I think that for Genesis, in the Court of the Crimson King was massive for them to kind of really steer their direction in a specific way, which they wound up going. So, and I think that really is probably the case for a lot of bands. You know, that album is not only influential to like fans, but I think on a lot of other bands on the scene, both in the UK and in Europe and Italy, certainly is when whatnot. It's like in the Court of Crimson King really helped a lot of these bands kind of make a choice on what direction they were going to take. And certainly, I think with Genesis, because the influence you can hear of early King Crimson on Trespass, I think, is undeniable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that album blew a lot of people away when it came out, the King Crimson record, because it was just so different at the time. Um, but yeah, we'll start the run with Trespass from 1970.
Yeah.
And it's October 23rd, 1970 on Charisma. John Anthony produced it. The single was The Knife. They put out a single for this. And Paul Whitehead did this like very distinctive artwork as well.
Yeah.
So what's your take on Trespass, Pete?
Uh, this album has grown in stature for me exponentially over the years. I always liked it. I really love it a lot now. And it's not quite up to the par of what's to come, I don't think, but it's really not that far off. There's some spectacular stuff on here. You know, I wish there was more like electric guitar, obviously. You really don't hear much, you know, Anthony Phillips kind of rears his head on the knife. And the funny thing is, then his playing on the knife is really unlike anything he'd ever done before or really afterwards. And then funny enough, they wind up getting a guitar player in Steve Hackett after this who kind of plays sort of in that style, that like angular kind of loud style with electric guitar. But I mean, there's great tracks on here. Like White Mountain, Stagnation is amazing. Just
Stagnation. Yes. Yes.
so good. Looking for Someone is great. I mean, here's really where you get Peter Gabriel becoming Peter Gabriel, Tony Banks becoming Tony Banks. Um, you know, we don't have Phil yet. We don't have Steve yet. I think Michael Rutherford is doing some great stuff on here as well. But really, what comes next starts here. It's
Right.
maybe not 100% there yet, but you could make the argument that there are some drop dead Genesis classics on this. I mean, we mentioned two of them, Stagnation and The Knife right there.
Yeah.
Sure. You know, White Mountain is amazing. You know, there's a tiny bit of Mellotron on this album, but there's much more on the next album. But yeah, this I like this a lot. I think it's held up very, very well. And what's crazy is you listen to this and then you listen to this, and it's like two completely different bands. Isn't it amazing how in the scope of less than a year they just blossomed like crazy?
It's a huge jump. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's very, very noticeable. And like you said, I think it's interesting. Like they would when they played live, they would do the 12 string acoustic thing, and
Yeah.
live that's hard to do. I mean, first of all, it's hard to get like without feeding back and having tuning problems. And I mean, they would have to tune their guitars forever, and that's kind of how the stories started. And then they realized that like they would play the knife, and everyone would go, "Yeah," like everyone would go nuts. It's like that all of a sudden they realize, oh, we can't just do nothing but 12 string acoustic. As much as that was cool, they realized they had to like get some ballsy material as well. I mean, Peter Gabriel was very pushing for like, come on, let's do something with some energy and some, some balls, I think is the word he used.
That certainly has it, right? What a great album closer that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's interesting that they had all of it though. That's what was so cool about Genesis. And that like you said, you hear it on this record. All the elements are in place and they're there. And that, like you said, not every track is like amazing, unbelievable. Actually, there are a lot of people that love this record from start to finish. I think it's got some great moments on it.
Yeah, I definitely think it does. I like it
Yeah.
quite a bit. And you know, this album very important in helping them get on that whole, you know, charisma label. And I still like reading the stories about when they did that big tour of what was it, Italy, right? So it was them, Van de Graaff Generator, and Lindisfarne, I think,
Right. The
did
Six
that
Bob
whole big.
tour. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was so important for them, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of got there, and I think that tour had so much to do with the rise of the growing prog rock scene in Italy as well. You had those three cool bands kind of going through and playing quite often over there. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. What a great time to be like I was too young. Obviously, we were both too young. But it's like, could you imagine being growing up and being of age where you can go see music like this live, where really stuff like this never really happened before?
Yeah.
To hear this kind of really cool new style of music that's symphonic and dark, and and it's got all these weird instruments, and it's very uncommercial and very cool. I could just imagine being like in a Genesis in a small auditorium, seeing a Genesis concert in like 1971.
Yes.
I
Yes.
would I would love to be able to go back in time and to hop into my time travel thing, and go back and witness like Peter Gabriel in the early years with the makeup and the costumes, and
Yeah.
Steve Hackett sitting down and on a chair, and I don't know,
Yes.
whatever,
Yes.
and Mike Rutherford with the double neck bass and the bass pedals, and it'd be very, very cool, I think.
It's intriguing. I mean, even when you see photos of them playing live, you're like intrigued. Like I can't imagine actually seeing it live. It would be just so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But this record, I always say it's like a mood album. If you're in the right mood, this album is
Oh,
like
it's wonderful.
perfect. You
That
know what I
that
mean?
is, to me, that's a wintertime album.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I agree. Like White Mountain,
So good.
Chef's Kiss. Love it. Love it.
I
Uh,
want to drink.
yes,
I
exactly.
want to drink. One of my favorite passages in any
Oh,
Genesis song. It's just so good. Ah, 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 ah. Oh, I can't. I'm not even going to bother trying to get those
I don't
high
want to
time
sit
things.
down. Yeah, yeah. He gets crazy.
It's so good. It's like, and the organ's going, and I'm like, whenever I listen to that, I can't wait for that part, and I just totally get into it. I'm like, oh, it's just so good.
Yeah. And
So,
then the fact, I mean, the one thing I want to say, last thing I'll say about Trespass is that Peter Gabriel is already, I mean, his voice is already so distinctive and so amazing and so out front. I mean, he does that looking for someone, like right the first thing, it's like just vocals, and you're like, oh
yeah,
my God, this is so killer, you
yeah.
know?
He has a
So,
lot of character to his voice, even though he's not your typical like classical style rock singer. Um, but there's something so unique about him. That's because you could make the argument. I remember like when I first started to get into Genesis, because my first album was Seconds Out, and hearing Phil sing a lot of those Gabriel songs. That was
right.
my introduction to a lot of those songs, is having Phil singing them. And then once I started to get into the Gabriel albums and saying, oh, well, their voices are kind of similar, but not. I think that Phil is the better singer of the two of them. He has a better classic vocalist style, but there's something very, very unique about Peter Gabriel. But like, you put them side by side, there are similarities there. But I
Yeah,
think Phil has always been the better singer. But then you got Peter, who's like, he's the front man. I mean, he was a great front man.
he
Still,
was.
still a really good front man. But yeah, but back then, because it was a whole package deal. He was acting up there, he was dancing and miming and singing all at the same time. So that's pretty cool. Not a lot of singers did that back then.
No, no, not at all. I mean, all that theatrical stuff was brand new, so it
Yeah.
was great. But yeah, so we'll move ahead. So what happens is Anthony Phillips, who is a founding member, ends up getting stage fright,
Yep.
and kind of ends up getting sick from it, bronchopneumonia or something like that. And eventually has to like bail. He says, "Well, I don't want to be in the band anymore. I'm gonna leave the band." And I think it came as a shock to everybody. And he was such a founding and such a driving member early on that they thought, oh, maybe we're going to break up because without him, I don't know what we're going to do. And I think one of Richard McPhail, who worked with them, was like, you can't do that, man. You guys got something special. You can't stop. You got to keep going. And so they had a discussion about it and said, okay, well, let's keep going. But the thing was, they said, well, if we're going to get a new guitar player, we need a new drummer as well. So that was, I guess, Tony Banks, I think, was the one who said that. Like, I want to get a new drummer if we're going to do this. And thank God they did that because, man, holy moly, talk about two all-stars that come into the
Oh
band.
yeah.
Oh my God, Steve
Both
Hackett.
unknowns, but they turn out to be both, really, really important, integral parts to this band going forward.
Oh my God. Yeah, think about it. I mean, we talk about that. We did Steve Hackett recently. We were talking about how Phil Collins on Voyage of the Alkali was the first time he had sung like a couple songs on a record or whatever.
Yep.
Or early on. I shouldn't say early. He did a little bit on Genesis, but and it was like at that time, 75, there was nobody thought Phil Collins was gonna become this massive star at that time,
No,
you know?
not at all. He
Crazy.
could have and should have, just on his drum skills alone, though. And he probably, even if he never would have taken the lead vocal slot in Genesis, I think he still would be looked at as a legendary drummer, because absolutely is. But yeah, he became a monster, a legend, a superstar, right? That's just,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
insane how big he got. So they bring these two new members in, and they start right away. They start recording, and I think Musical Box may have been around early on, and they were working on those songs. They brought Phil in. They worked as a four piece for a little bit, and then Steve came in, and they did Nursery Cryme, which was released November 12th, 1971 on Charisma again. John Anthony producing again at Trident Studios. And they got on the charts this time. In the UK, they got it got to number 39. So this is Nursery Cryme. This is man, this record has grown in stature for me. How do you feel about this album?
I've always thought this album was great.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah,
You know, my favorite Genesis album is the one we're going to talk about next, but this is very close behind it. Like really, to me, they go hand in hand. They're like two peas in a pod. Um, I love this album. There, some of
yeah.
my favorite tracks are on this album. It's great. And you know, some people don't like the production of this record. I do. I like
Ooh,
it.
I, I like it, man.
Yeah, I like it a lot. You know, the musical box is magical. Play me my song.
Yes.
It's just so good because it's got what I really love about this era of Genesis is all the light and shade. Like there's these darker parts, these angry parts, and the moments of like tranquil beauty, all within like, you know, woven in every single song. The musical box is great. Hackett, his arrival is right in that song. It's so good. For Absent Friends is great. Return of the Giant Hogweed is killer. I mean, I love Banks's keyboard work. It's such you know, on the surface, it's kind of like a ridiculous song, but then when you really start reading the lyrics, and I'm not much of a lyric guy, but there's a definite message in The Return of the Giant Hogweed. There totally is. And if you know anything about the actual hogweed plant,
Hmm.
it's not good. Hogweed can like it's like bamboo, man. If hogweed is like turns up somewhere, it can spread like crazy and you can't get rid of it.
Right, right,
It's like and it's not good. Seven Stones is great. Howard the Barrel is so fun. That's got I think maybe the first instance because you don't really get it on Trespass of the kind of humorous side to the band. That kind of like
right.
whimsical, very English thing that they do,
Yeah.
which shows up on this album. Then you got Harlequin, and you know the Phantom of Salmacis is a
Oh,
monster song,
oh my God.
monster song, and there's so much great mellotron and organ on this album too. Just like you know, to me. Tony Banks is one of my favorite keyboard players of all time. I don't really respect him or like him much as a person sometimes because
Right,
he
right.
said some screwed up things over the years, and I don't think he really treated Steve Hackett all that good and whatnot. But I love his keyboard sounds and tones and his playing. I mean, he is so important to this band to
Yeah,
me. So many of my favorite Genesis songs I love because of the stuff that he does on them
yeah,
you know, and everything else, of course, because I love the vocals and I think Phil's drumming on this album is amazing. There's great guitar work on here, but yeah, this is a killer record. I love the cover. It just screams like early '70s prog to me. And,
yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
you know, like we talked about the Italian scene before. I think that you know, if you're listening to like PFM and Bonko and so many Museo Rosenbach and or so many of those other albums, I mean, it kind of all goes back to Trespass in this album. A lot
Yeah.
of what they did was just it's so influenced by this. Yeah, I love this, and of course Crimson as well. But certainly the specter of Genesis looms large on the whole like kind of Italian and Spanish scene for me. But yeah, great album.
Yeah. I mean, this feels like another huge jump from Trespass. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
think so. As great as that is, yeah, I absolutely think so.
As
Yeah.
much as I love Trespass, this feels like a different animal as well. Like,
Well,
I mean,
because you know, I mentioned before, like that whimsicalness and that very British thing that they do, really starts to happen on this album, I think,
yeah,
because
yeah.
there's some lighthearted stuff on this and the next album, and certainly on Selling England as well,
Hmm.
that you don't really get on Trespass, which is much more serious in tone. Here, you got a little bit of everything that they do. You got the acoustic moments, you got the big bombastic stuff, the darker stuff. You know, Mellotron plays a huge role in this album. So yeah, it's this is they're doing everything good right here. Like everything like where they should be is here. And they would continue to get better, which is the crazy thing, as good
Yeah,
as that is.
exactly. This is just the beginning, right? It's like crazy. I mean, it's this record, I couldn't agree with you more. It touches on so many different styles and oh my God, just the feel and the like you said, it's so English. It's like English to the max, you know. It's like
Yeah.
this and it's just but it those like it's hard to describe music sometimes, but like the mellotron swells on Fountain of Salamasis, just those
Oh,
oh, I get chills when I listen to
yeah.
that song.
You got
There's
the
just
organ,
something
dun, dun, dun,
about
dun, 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 dun,
oh,
dun, dun, and all of a sudden,
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
like
like,
yeah,
what?
it's
Every
so
time I hear that, I heard the song hundreds of times. Every time I hear like the back of my neck, the hairs on the back of my neck go, woo. That's just as cool
yes.
as the first time I heard it, right? It's
Oh,
like,
I'm the same way, man. And listen to the what Bank or what Collins and Rutherford are doing on like drums and bass on that song too.
oh yeah,
They're
yeah,
just ripping it up. When you listen to that song loud, you're like, listen to the drums and bass, man. They're killing it. Oh my
yeah.
God.
So good.
Yeah, just
So
amazing.
good. And and songs these kind of because some of the stuff is weird to like normal people. There's because we're not all that normal when you really think
No,
about it.
not really.
People like
Yeah.
you or me, right? But to
Yeah.
normal people, they hear some of the stuff like, ah, that's weird. What is that? I know like I've my wife has heard me play some of this early Gabriel stuff many times. And she goes, "What are you listening to?" I'm like, "It's Genesis." She goes, "That doesn't sound like Phil Collins." I'm like, "Well, remember this is what Peter Gabriel sang for the." She goes, "Yeah, that's not the Genesis I like." I'm like, "Because it's like to regular listeners, this is just bizarre stuff. To
Yeah.
us, this is awesome." What would you say your favorite song is on this?
Oh, I would say Fountain of Salamasis, and then I would say closely followed by Return of the Giant Hogweed, and then of course Musical Box. I mean, Musical Box
Yeah,
has got to be.
I go back and forth between Musical Box or Salmasis. I think they're both
Yeah.
great, but the Hogweed is amazing too. Yeah,
But that diddle 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 diddle, it's just like I love that diddle 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 diddle, and they're doing like Hackett's doing some early tapping and
oh yeah, yep, yeah.
oh my God. I just love how like he would always say in interviews, they'd be like, Eddie Van Halen, he invented tapping, and he'd be like, actually I did some tapping in 1972, but he'd be like really mellow about it, you know. So, but yeah, Musical Box too is pretty undeniable. I mean, that when they play that live, that just kills,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
It's
just
amazing.
kills.
It's amazing.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
a
I
great
love
album.
this record. I think this record has grown. I think I said that already. It's just going up the list for me. Every time I hear it, I go, "Oh my God!" There's just something like you said, the production's really raw, but there's something really cool about that, you know?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
yeah.
great.
So they go from strength to strength. They're just getting better, and the next record is really breaks through, breaks them up wide open. Foxtrot, released September 15th, 1972. They switch producers. Dave Hitchcock is helping them out at Island Studios. And it's the first this record charted in the UK at number 12 and number 15 in Italy, which Italy was a big there's a lot of huge fan base in Italy at this time.
Yep, yep, for
Uh,
sure.
so Foxtrot, I mean, another killer record. How do you feel about this album?
I mean, it's one of my favorite prog albums of all time. It's my favorite album by the band.
Yeah.
Like I said, it kind of goes hand in hand with this one. I think to me, they're kind of two of a pair
Yeah.
because I think with the next album they kind of change things up just a little bit, but it's similar in tone to Nursery Cryme. I mean, it has two of their greatest songs ever on it, right? Watcher of the
Yeah.
Skies is
Yeah.
absolutely legendary, terrific, and then it's got Supper's Ready. So again, those bookend pieces, right? Just like on the previous album, where you had the first song and the last song are like these immense tracks. Same thing here. And then you got all this cool stuff in the middle. Timetable is cool. Get 'em Out by Friday is kind of like the sister of Hogweed a little bit because it's kind of similar in tone and things like
Yes.
that.
Yep.
And then you
Yep.
get the whimsical Can Utility and the Coastliners, and then the little Hackett piece Horizons, and then into the big epic Supper's Ready. I love it. I love the production of it. I think it's amazing. Gabriel sounds great on here. He's telling stories like it's nobody's business. There's a lot of Hackett on here. There's more great organ and mellotron all throughout. Rutherford's doing lots of cool things on here too. Let's not forget he's doing all these great, the Rickenbacker bass. The bass lines are great. The 12 string is great, and all the bass pedals, right, which are really really cool. You hear. You
Yes.
gotta sometimes you have to really listen to those. You take for granted those Taurus bass pedals, and especially in Genesis music, there's a ton of it on these albums. But sometimes you gotta like you hear this big whoosh or and you're like
Yeah.
you don't even think twice about what it is. It's just there. It's like, oh yeah, that's where he's stepping on that thing, right?
Yes. It's like a sonic boom of sorts. And
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
it's just there, right? I've always taken for granted what those bass pedals, any band that uses them. It's just like those sounds are there, but you never really like, quite identify what they are. And then you're like,
Right.
oh, okay, yeah, he's stepping on that big black thing with a couple pedals. That's what he's doing. He's just like, it's like, doom. It's like,
Exactly. It's a lot of power at your feet. It really is.
I know, right? It's like
Yeah.
you gotta get. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great record. I've been, proclaiming the brilliance of this for decades, and I still love it. I still listen to it a lot. and it's to me it's classic prog. To me, um, I've always said that my the best prog album of all time, the greatest prog album of all time, is Close to the Edge, but
Mhm.
this has been number two, right behind it forever for me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just it's that good.
Yeah, no, I mean, just the amount of sheer ideas that were thrown into this album. I mean, it really feels like they're coming into their own. And I mean, I just don't get tired of, I know that people talk, some people get sick of or are tired of talking about Supper's Ready, but it's like, I listen to that. I never get tired of it. I just don't get tired of Supper's Ready. I just think it's great. I think it's a
Yeah.
fantastic, epic song,
I agree.
you
It
know?
still gives me chills. I love it. And really cool when you think about how it was kind of patched together from a bunch of different songs and they just kind of put it all together, changed the
Mhm.
lyrics to make the whole thing kind of flow because the story itself is a little bizarre anyway. But I
Yeah,
think it works. It really works. It
it kind
flows
of
well. And
works,
the
you
whole
know?
second half, to me is just intense and I love it. It's just, yeah, it's great.
And when it goes into Willow Farm, that it's just like, what is happening? But it's so cool. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's so Genesis, and it's just insane. And
It's so English too. I mean, big time is
right,
just so, yeah, to some people that's hard to get into, but so much of what I listen to is English or British or UK music anyway, so I don't that doesn't bother me at all. I kind of
yeah,
like there's a charm to it for me. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's
great
just
album.
a very strong album.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, and get him out by Friday. I just think it's so cool. He's talking about genetic control and like they can get more people in places if they get smaller. I mean, it's just only Peter Gabriel would write a lyric like that. It's just
Yeah.
bizarre, but it's so cool when you start really delving in.
Yep.
So yeah, Foxtrot, absolute classic. And then we move on to another classic,
Yep.
Selling England by the Pound. October 5th, 1973, John Burns producing. Number three on the UK. They're just getting higher and higher every time. Number three on the UK charts, 70 in the US. So this is the first time they actually made an appearance on the US charts.
Yep.
And single was I Know What I Like. And so yeah, I mean, this one feels like a consolidation a bit to me. How do you feel about this record?
I like it a lot. I know a lot of people that this is their favorite Genesis album.
Right.
Can't say you know what it is because I think it's a little more like melodic and like I don't want to say pop based because it's not, but there are pop hooks and more poppy things on this album. It's not as serious toned as the stuff that came before it. I think it's maybe a little more lighthearted, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
But musically, it's probably even more sophisticated when you really think about it.
Right.
I think like Banks' playing on this album is terrific. He's doing some amazing piano work all throughout this album, and great vocals from Peter for sure. Um, there's really great compositions on this record. I mean, Dancing
Yes.
with the Moonlit
Yes.
Night is really great. I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe is, like I said, their first stab at doing like a normal song, right?
Yes.
Like a normal
Right.
pop song. But even that, it's like it still has all the elements we like from
Kind
this
of a
band.
hooky song, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Firth the Fifth is amazing.
Oh my, unreal.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Banks is incredible on it. The piano melody is amazing. Um, we love the synth solo. And then of course, Hackett like just destroys with that guitar solo, which is like one of the most lyrical guitar solos of all time, any genre. To me, at the First the Fifth is just as memorable as like the guitar solo in Comfortably Numb. It's like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
astounding. There are people like when I go see Steve Hackett on tour almost every time he comes around, and there are people that wait all night for that solo and I'm guilty of it too. You know how many times I've recorded that solo on my cell phone? Like at countless Hackett shows. I don't know why I bother anymore because he plays it flawlessly every single time.
Yes, he
And it's
does.
like I already have like three versions of it from like three other shows, but yet I'll go the fourth time again and I'll record it again. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Why don't I just because it's that good. It's
It's that
amazing.
moment when it hits, it's like, oh, like it's just like, yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just so good. So it's just an amazing song. And the Battle of Epping Forest is classic. And then you got, After the Ordeal is great. The cinema show is wonderful. Just
Cinema show.
lovely.
Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely. Isle of Plenty. I mean, it's a really, really great album. It really is great. It's probably to me, um, their most out of everything we're going to talk about today, it's for me, it's their classiest album. And
Right.
if you ask
Right.
me, well, what do you mean by that? It's like, I don't know. There's just something about it that's just very perfect, very bright and happy and meticulously crafted and well written, and everything about it is great. I like other albums more, but
Yeah.
like anybody comes to me and says this is their favorite, I can't argue it because I
I'm,
love it.
I'm
It
not gonna
might it
argue.
might be my number three,
Yeah.
in their whole
Yeah.
discography, but it's great. It's very to me, it's very similar to what we're going to talk about in two albums from now. I think they're kind of similar in their perfection of songcraft and whatnot. But yeah, I love it. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. No, I know I know exactly what you're getting at. It's hard to describe. It's hard to put your finger on. There's just something, like you said, classier about it. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's got a little bit more of a sheen to it. And it's well recorded, and I can see how people love this. I mean, like you said, I could see how people be like that, but that's their number one. I get it. Like I totally
it's
understand.
extremely listenable all the
Yeah.
way through.
Yeah.
Not that others aren't, but like I said, if you're not someone who's into this style of music all that much, and you're getting into Genesis for the first time, but you want to throw someone into the prog half before instead of giving them like Abacab or something like that,
Right.
I would give them this any day
Yeah.
over any of the ones
Right.
we've talked about so far.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
this to me is a great entry point into the world of
Good
Genesis.
primer. Yeah, good primer
Yes. Yeah.
for sure. No, you're absolutely, that's a great way to say it. I mean, but you know who's playing out of his mind on this record is Phil Collins. I mean, he is
Oh, he's yeah,
oh, his playing is just like chef's kiss on this album. I mean,
yeah.
and to your point, I mean, Dancing with the Moonlit Night, Firth of Fifth, Cinema Show. I mean, those three alone. I mean, those are just all amazing, unbelievable. And like you said, when that Firth of Fifth solo, originally it was supposed to be just a flute. And it was just like this, Tony was like, this is just going to be a really mellow flute thing. And Steve was like, hold on a second. I think his exact words were, let's King Crimson this thing up. And they did the Mellotron and the, I mean, it's just like that solo, like you said, is just so iconic. It's unbelievable.
And he's do every technique he's doing it. I mean, he's got the great vibrato, the volume swells, the hammer-ons and all this really cool stuff. And it's like, and then you watch him play it, and you're a couple rows back, or whatever. And he's just like, he's got his eyes closed, and I'm just like, oh, dude,
Yeah,
you rule.
it's heaven. It's heaven, man. It's
Yeah.
just Steve Hackett heaven. And he just I just love that he pushed for that. Like I guess Tony at first was like, no, 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 we're not gonna do that. And he's like, no, 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 let's do that. Let's try it. Let's just try it. And I guess as soon as Tony heard it, he was like, oh, okay, you're right. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's become
So
iconic, right? Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So anyway, so yeah, I love this album. I mean, like you said, couldn't argue with someone if they said it was their favorite. These are all amazing records. So we move on to the next album, which is a kind of a departure, right? I mean, 1974, and they do a double concept record, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And man, this is definitely, this feels like a little bit of a turn. I mean, and what this is one of those loaded when you ask people if they like it, or some people just think it's like the masterpiece of all masterpieces, and other people think it's flawed. So what's your take on it?
I love it. I don't reach for it all that often. I think it's a little bloated, slightly.
Yeah.
Like to me, I think there's an amazing 60-minute album here.
Yes.
There's a little bit of stuff that's kind of fluff, but I get it. It's a double album and everything like that. It's amazing for what it is. But I love what you said about how it seems like weird to put this out after this, because to me, I've been saying this for years. If this comes after this, that makes sense to me.
Right. Right.
Coming after this,
Yeah.
not really, 'cause it doesn't sound anything like this at
No,
all.
not
It
really.
doesn't sound anything like what's coming after it. So this is a weird thing that they did here, which, and interestingly enough, this was Peter's idea, and he got so burnt out from putting this album together, and then the tour, he was just like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta do something different, right? Which
Yes.
is
Right.
which is
Right.
crazy, right, to think about it. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it's a great album. It's one of my favorite concept albums. It's a great double album. I don't 100% love all of it, but I
Mhm.
100% love 95% of it or whatever. There's some great
Right.
tracks on here. Um, it's really good. It's got great keyboards on it. There's a lot of good Hackett guitar on here. I think Gabriel is amazing on here. It's just, I find I get kind of sad listening to this because I know this is the album that broke Peter Gabriel in this band.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like I'm
Yes.
thinking because of this, he
He
jumped ship.
bailed. He
And
bailed. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
it's
mean, it's history. What are you gonna do? You can't change it, right? But
no,
it's
you're right. There's a little bit of I agree with you. There's a little bit of a bittersweet feeling when you're listening to it because you know that this is the end. And there was lots of tension during the
oh
movie.
yeah, big time. When you know the whole trouble behind this album and everything, the recording of it, the touring, everything, it just kind of it's just like a weird cloud that sits over the Lamb, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, I mean, God, it's got stuff like Carpet Crawlers and In the Cage and the Slipper Man is great, and the title track is so good. Fly on a Windshield is great. I mean, there's a lot of great tracks on here.
Yeah,
There's also some stuff that's like, little bridges to other songs and things like that. But
yeah,
still,
yeah.
like I said, if you weed out a little bit of the fluff in this album, it's amazing.
There is a lot to love on this album.
Oh
There
yeah,
is a
yeah,
lot. I mean, musically particularly, I just think they're really on fire. I mean, by this point, they had been playing together solidly for close to 5 years. At least like that core of, Collins, Hackett, Banks, Rutherford, Gabriel. They so you could feel it by this album that they're really gelling. And some of the stuff like, Fly on a Windshield, man, it's just like,
right,
whoa.
yeah,
When it does that waiting for the windshield, bam, and you're like, oh man, like, and it kicks into that cool jam. You're like, whoa. So
yep,
there were some moments on this album that you're just like, man, this is so killer.
yeah. And there's some whimsical stuff on here too. Like Counting Out Time is kind of wacky.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's really great. The Lammy is great too. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like individual parts on here that are great. Some people make fun of the story. It's like it doesn't make any
the
sense,
story
and
makes no sense.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
like whatever. I know a lot of concept albums that don't make any sense, but it's Genesis, so you kind of give them a pass here. But I
yeah,
like it a lot. I really do. I don't reach for it all that often, but when I do, I have to listen to the whole thing. Start
yeah,
to finish.
yeah.
It's one of those albums for me. I don't just like put on disc one and just listen to a couple tracks and then go do something else. I got to hear the whole
Gotta
thing.
listen to it.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
that doesn't happen all that often. I don't this I reach for a lot of these Genesis albums during the course of the year. I don't pull this out all that often. Uh,
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
I should soon because I don't think I've listened to this since we did an album study on it for In the Prog Seat, however long ago that was. It seems like a while ago now,
A
but
little while ago now,
it
right?
was either earlier this year or sometime last year. I don't even remember now, but I haven't listened to it since. So maybe it's
Yeah.
time. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it was one of those. I can't argue with you too much. I mean, I think that what happened was Peter wrote this huge story, and they had to fill in like, okay, we need more music for the story,
Yeah,
and it became more forced as it went. And then I think they got rushed. I think they kind of ran out of time, and it
yeah.
was like there's all these stories about them rushing mixing at the end. They had to mix 24/7 because the album was overdue, and this tour was going to start, and they had so I think there was a
And
little bit
that's another thing, right? Let's
of
go play the entire thing on tour and inject all this like these slideshow things and
suicide. Yeah.
costumes and stuff.
Right.
It's just like, okay, maybe you bit off a little bit more that you can chew, right? So
Yeah. 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 They went pretty hog wild on this record as far as just, okay, we're gonna do, like you said, they're really testing the fans quite a bit.
yeah.
And they did say that early on people were yelling for Musical Box and The Knife and the classics, and then they just kept, it's like, okay, what is this? This is all new. We don't know any of this music.
Right. This is long before like which is common now, you go out and play whole albums live, right? They do
Right.
tours based on playing a whole album, from start to finish and blah blah blah. Yeah, back then playing a whole new album before it's even released to your fans,
That's super brave, man. That's brave.
yeah, yeah, no.
So
I
you
know it
gotta
was the
love them.
70s, but still it's like, yeah.
You gotta love them for that. That's brave.
Oh
So
yeah, give them lots of
um,
credit for it. It backfired on them, but
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, this album, I still have a lot of love for this record. I think it's great. I think there's so much good stuff on it. And like you said, a little bittersweet because Peter leaves after it. So there's a lot of as we mentioned, Peter is, unhappy during the tour. And finally during the tour, he says, I'm out. Because they were fighting a lot during the making of it. It's a long story. I don't want to get all of it, but they were fighting a lot during that making. And because Peter was the first time Peter said, I want to do all the lyrics. And that was unprecedented. And they, what? What do you mean you want to do all the lyrics? And then he wanted to go do something with William Friedkin, and he took off for a while, and then he came back. It was just a lot of craziness. And and so there was a big like question mark whether Genesis was going to continue, right? I mean, it was like Mick Jagger leaving the Stones. Like, what? Like,
yeah.
how are you going to continue without Peter Gabriel, right? Because he was the focus of the band. And you know, we know the story. They try out a bunch of singers. Finally, Phil steps up and says, let me have a go." And he goes for it, and he sings "Squonk," and they're like, "Oh my God, wait a minute, we might have our singer in the band already," you know?
Yeah, made
So
perfect sense. Totally
yeah,
made perfect sense. I mean,
because he had already done some singing, right? And they,
he did sang a couple short songs. He did backing vocals on everything, and it just made total sense. And like I said, their voices are kind of similar
yeah,
in a little way. So yeah, it was the right thing to do. And as history shows, it was the perfect choice.
yeah. They make Trick of the Tail, 1976, February 1976. This is a banger. I mean, this is just like what an album to come. I mean, I think they had something to prove, and you can kind of feel it on this album. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I love this album a lot. It's quite good. Again, another album where I know a lot of people who this is their favorite Genesis.
Right. Yeah.
It's very musical like this. To me, this
Yes.
coming after this makes perfect sense. That's why The Lamb is like in a weird place in this catalog because it doesn't fit in at all between these two albums. Because when you listen to like progressions of bands as they grow and mature from album to album to album, not that this is not a mature album, but stylistic wise, this to me fits more in with Nursery Cryme and Foxtrot than it does with this and then even
Yes.
Wuthering. But yeah, but I
Right.
think this is a terrific album. It's really well produced. Uh, for a guy who's taken over the lead vocal slot, he sounds great, but he's also drumming like mad on
Like
this album.
crazy. Yes.
He's
Yeah.
so good on this album. Everybody's is firing on all cylinders here. Dance on a Volcano, again, the bookends. Dance on a Volcano and Los Endos.
Yeah.
Amazing. And
Unreal.
funny
Yeah.
enough, live they would play those back to back a lot of times, which is cool. Entangled is great. Squonk is one of my favorite tracks from the band, period. I love
Yeah.
Squonk. So
Yeah.
good. You got Madman Moon, Robbery, Assault, and Battery is whimsical and fun. Ripples, another of their early hits. That's a pop song, basically, with like some cool keyboards and hackety stuff towards the end. Trick of the Tail is lighthearted and whimsical. And then, of course, you got Los Endos, which is like, absolutely amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's lots to love here. It's a great, great record. Great
Yeah.
album.
Yeah, I mean, Los Endos almost has like, Phil was so into fusion, right? He was loving Maha Vishnu and all.
Got a little Brand X
Yeah,
thing going on
the
there.
Brand
Yep,
X
yep.
happening in there. Yeah, exactly. So he's like it just I love the music. It's just so musical, this record. It's like you said, it's just so, and it's kind of back to your point, it's kind of back to the romanticism, the prettiness. There's a lot of pretty moments, Entangled and
Yeah, it's
Ripple.
got the pastoral feel which you love and expect from this band, but it's also got the more aggressive stuff is on here, and it's very artful and a lot of great Hackett guitar playing on this album too. I think it's always understated in Genesis for whatever reason, but whether that's by choice by the other guys in the band or not, I don't know. But yeah, it's songwriting is amazing on this record, and Phil sounds like he was made for this role.
Oh
He
yeah.
he's singing so confident. It's weird when you watch like video footage from this time period. He's got the long beard and he's like standing up in the microphone. He looks like he doesn't really know what to do with himself, right? But that would change very quickly. He
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
grew into this role very quickly over the span of like two tours, and all of a sudden he was the guy. So yeah,
He
really,
got
really
his
good.
feet pretty quickly. I mean, I guess he was more worried about, because Peter had done this whole thing, storytelling and kind of mysterious traveler kind of thing and costumes. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. That's not
Yeah,
me. So, but what am I going to do? Like, I got to do something, right? I can't. So I think he was worried about like what to say between songs. And so he kind of went for the whole like guy next door kind of thing. Like, hey, I'm just gonna be funny and I'm gonna be myself, and it
it worked.
worked.
It
It
worked.
totally worked. He
Yeah,
related to the audience and people liked it. And he always says people wanted their band back. Like they wanted Genesis to keep going. So
yeah,
like they almost people willed it into existence. Like this is gonna work. This is gonna work because we want it to work.
yep, yep, for
Um,
sure.
and but I remember Tony saying something like it was weird because I kept looking up from my keyboards and I kept expecting to see Peter and it was Phil. It was just weird, you
Yeah,
know.
it's like wait, you're supposed to be over there, right? It's
Yeah,
behind him.
what's like you're supposed to be on the drum. I'm so confused. This is weird.
And we got
Yes.
this guy from Frank Zappa's band over there now. It's like, okay, I got to get used to this, right?
Yeah, Chester jumps
Yeah,
in and yeah, Daryl. Or well, at first it was Bill Bruford, right?
yeah,
But
exactly. Yep,
but
yep.
yeah, but anyway, but yeah, this is a very. I mean, a lot of people just this is another one that people just love to death and call it a masterpiece. And I think that they're not wrong. I wouldn't call them. This is a really really good record.
Yep.
And I really feel like there's a lot of, like you said, the energy level's so high because I feel like they had something to prove. So, and they did a good job. So,
It's Anthony Ferraro's favorite Genesis album.
yeah, there you go. There you go. So then they, well, once they kind of consolidate and do this Trick of the Tail, and it goes. By the way, Trick of the Tail went to number 3 in the UK, really high, and 31 in the. Every time they put an album out, that 31 in the US is getting more higher and higher. So 31 in the US. So it did well in the USA. And then they tour again, and then they come back and they do Wind and Wuthering in 1976. And this time they do, it's a mobile studio in the Netherlands. They're not in London anymore. And this is interesting. I mean, this one's got a lot of hacking on it,
Yeah.
which I really like. What's your take on this album? What do you think about
I
this?
like it a lot. I don't like it as much as Trick of the Tail, but I do like it a lot. To me, this is a really nice, like fall winter album for me. So this is an album. This and Trespass, I think, for me, are their two like kind of like colder weather albums. And I think there's some really great stuff on here. It's a little more kind of like atmospheric and I don't even know what sometimes I struggle with finding words to describe this record. There's some great up-tempo stuff on here as well. 11th Earl Lamar is amazing.
Yes.
Uh, love like Blood on the Rooftops is really great. Unquiet Slumbers for the Sleepers is killer. You got again your own special way. The band trying to incorporate more pop stuff. It's kind of
Hmm.
continuing on here. One for the Vine is terrific. There's a lot of good acoustic guitars on this album. Again, a lot of really nice keys. There's plenty of Mellotron on this record. It's a moody album, whereas I
Yes.
think that
Yes.
this is not a moody album at all, to
Right.
me anyway, to my ears. I find this to be a very moody album. It's a moody kind of like, you know what? Unquiet Slumbers for the Sleepers is a song title. Something about that song title explains the tone of this record, if that makes
Mhm.
any sense at all. I've always
Yeah.
thought that.
Yeah.
It's a kind of like a sleepy, wrap yourself under a blanket kind of record, which has lots of charm. It's just different, but I
Yeah.
love it for all those things.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
probably, it could be my least favorite of everything we've just talked about, but it's still a classic Genesis album, like big time.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yes.
love it. It's really good. But it's one of those albums I grab for certain times of the year because it brings those warm and fuzzies for me during the colder months. I don't know why. It just always has been for me. But it's really good. It's got a special character all its own, I think. It's very different from these other ones.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's very much a fall record for me. Like I always think of fall when I think of this in like late
Yeah.
fall, whatever. And you're right. But this album will hit me though. Like if I'm in the right mood for it, it is just like full on. I love it. You mentioned Unquiet Slumbers for the Sleepers in That Quiet Earth. Oh, that to me is just like I just love that. I love that track. I just think it's so great. Um, Afterglow is a really cool song that became a live song,
Afterglow is wonderful.
you
Yeah,
know.
that's yeah.
Yeah, that
That's
became
probably has one of my favorite Phil Collins vocals on it. So good. Especially
yeah.
this whole second half is just so good.
Yeah, you kind of feel like by the end of this record, Phil's really finding his vocal feet. Like
Oh
it,
yeah, for
you
sure.
know what
Yeah,
I mean?
100%. Yeah.
Like you said, he gets a great performance on Afterglow, absolutely. Um, and there's some great Tony Banks epics, like you mentioned, 11th Earl of Mar. And some people, kind of all in a mouse's night, like what a song about a mouse and a cat. But it's a cool, but musically, it's so cool. I mean that do 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 do. I mean, Phil is just out of his mind on the drums, just doing some really, really cool stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and I just love listening to him play. I mean, What Gorilla is also another sort of apparently, Hackett leaves after this because he's not happy. He wants more input because he had done Voyage of the Alkalite and he was like, okay, and his confidence was going up and up and up. And he was like, okay, he wanted to do Please Don't Touch on this record. And they said, no, thanks. So that really pissed him off. And then they did. His quote was, "I can't believe What Gorilla made it, and Please Don't Touch didn't." So he wasn't happy with that at all.
Yeah. And as
But
it
I think,
showed, like Voyage of the Acolyte is almost like a Genesis album, right? So why did they reject all that stuff when they could have been on this album? It's
yeah,
crazy to think about
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And apparently he asked last thing I'll say about it. Apparently he asked the band to can I get a little bit of time to do another solo record, and they said no.
No.
And so
Okay.
that probably pissed him off from the word go, like just right at the beginning of the sessions. You know what I mean? So
I'm out of here then.
I'm done. But anyway, but I think this is a great record, a great swan song for Steve. Um, so there you go, people. There's the run. There it is. It's a lot to talk about, but it was man, what a run. I mean, the 70s Genesis run is amazing.
It's great. And for those who are watching who are like, well, why aren't you talking about this? It's really good.
Yeah,
It's not on the level of greatness as everything we've just talked about, though.
yeah. It's definitely different. It starts to get more and more mainstream every album,
Yeah,
as
there are
as
great moments on here for sure. But yeah, I think the end of the great run ends with this. But I like this a lot. I like Duke a lot. I
oh
like
yeah.
Abacab and some of the other stuff too. But I think the ones we've talked about, that's the masterclass of Genesis.
Yeah. 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 So what do you think, people? Let us know. What do you we want to know in the comments. What do you guys think? Some people might say, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I think Genesis Genesis to
And if you
Revelation.
think that, I don't know why you're watching this show.
Genesis to Revelation is the best record they did. Who knows? You never know what you're going to get in the comments.
You
So
don't.
as
You don't.
Pete knows that very well. So,
Yep. Yep.
Pete, thanks again. I
Thanks for
appreciate
having me, Tom. Appreciate it.
always love having you, and hopefully we'll do more. So,
Sounds good.
thanks everybody. Let us know. Give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Curless Mania. Take care.
Take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.